Let me tell you something I didn't know for years. True story, guys. When I got my permanent residency approved and I was planning to move to Canada, I'd called an old friend of mine and I gave her the news. I'd also shared with her that I was looking to start applying for jobs in Canada instead of waiting until I moved. And she said, "Oh, yes, you can do that. Just make sure you tailor your resume." And I asked, "What does that mean?" Honestly, I had no idea what it meant to tailor your resume. Not until I moved to Canada and I started working with an employment agency. And they sat me down to say that your resume reads like a job description. It doesn't tell what you did, how you did it, or even proof that you were the one that did it. And that's when I started learning to not just tell my story, but also write it in a way that any hiring manager will even be pleased to talk to me in the first place. Your resume goes ahead of you to represent you before they then listen to you. That's how I started to learn how to draft my resume. So in this video, I want to take you through it step by step. And instead of just speaking it, I'd like to show you. Between my last video and this video, we've had new subscribers. If you're new here, I want to say welcome here. First, I want to say thank you for joining us and then welcome here. I'm sure you will love it here. This channel is anchored on career, on faith, and on lifestyle. So if you're an early career professional or a mid-career professional, you've got years of experience, you've done actual things, but your resume is not landing you interviews, this video is for you. We're going to take your resume from basic to great. I'm going to hold your hand step by step and we'll walk through what your resume should look like, such that your resume is discussing the outcomes that you've driven. I'm also going to give you reusable AI prompts, such that once your resume is solid and you find any job posting that you're interested in, you can use those prompts to tailor your resume in a matter of minutes, not hours. Stay tuned until the end. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. This is Jane Ball's resume, right? Jane Ball is a UI UX designer and she's looking for such a role, a UX UI designer role. And so her resume speaks to that function. I want to take it for granted that we know the common components that our resume should contain: the name, the role that you're looking to apply to. And again, I need to mention, for those who are pivoting, the role that you put here is not referring to the role that you currently work in. It refers to the role that you're pivoting into. This is speaking to her location, where she's based, her email address, her telephone number, basically her contact information, and then her LinkedIn profile. Like I said in my LinkedIn video, if you haven't consciously built your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn presence, there's no point directing people there. So if you know that you don't have an active LinkedIn profile or you're not consciously building an online presence, right after this video, ensure to watch my 2 videos talking about LinkedIn optimization. It'll be helpful so that when recruiters or hiring manager are then redirected to your profile, there's something for them to see when they get there. The career profile. This is the first section and it's also called the professional summary. Like, this is prime real estate on your resume. So it's doing a lot of heavy lifting. So every word in this section needs to earn its place. Look at Jane's resume. The very first word says creative and user obsessed UI UX designer with 5 years of experience designing intuitive, accessible, and visually compelling digital products across SaaS and e-commerce environments in Canada and the United States. Let me break it down why this opening line works, right? So first of all, it tells me who Jane is, a UI UX designer. It tells me how many years of experience Jane has, which is 5 years, and what kind of companies that Jane has served. SaaS and e-commerce companies. It tells me the geography, North America, right? I already see this for context. Some organizations are going to be particular about the geography that you've worked in or that you've served. This clearly states it. All of that in one sentence. It's efficient, it's specific, it's not a vague statement that could belong to anyone to say, oh, a passionate and enthusiastic creative or UI UX designer. No, that one could belong to anybody. This one only belongs to Jen. Now look at this phrase, owning the full design process. The word owns is doing something really important here. Junior designers execute tasks. Mid-level designers, they own processes. Emphasis on own. That one word signals seniority without Jordan having to say, I'm a mid-level designer. The language does it already. And then let's look at how the profile ends. It says proficient in Figma, Adobe XD, InVision. Why is it at the end of the summary instead of in a separate skills section? It's because Figma and Co, they are keywords, and putting them in the career profile means that they show up early. This space, it's prime real estate, and it matters to both the algorithm scanning your resume and the human being that is reading it as well. Now let's break down this phrase that says drive measurable engagement and conversation outcomes. Look at that. Jane is a designer, but Jane is thinking like a business person. Not that I design beautiful products, but my designs drive measurable business outcomes. Here it is. It drives a measurable engagement and conversion outcomes. That's a shift that separates a good resume from a great one at mid-career level. A great career profile answers 3 questions in 10 seconds. Who are you? What do you bring? Why should I care? If your profile isn't answering those questions in 10 seconds, you're not done. You need to continue to rewrite it until it answers those questions. Let's move on to the core competencies segment. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've put this in a table so that it's quick, it's neat. This section, it's not primarily written for the hiring manager. It's written for the ATS. That's the applicant tracking system. ATS systems, they're looking for keywords from the job description. Now, if the post says wireframing and your resume says mock-ups, to a large extent, they mean the same thing, but you may get filtered out. So what I'm going to suggest is, if the JD says wireframing, use exactly wireframing in your resume as well. It refers to the same skill, it's just a different word. So let's go through Jane's core competencies together. I'm going to call out what some of the keywords signal to a recruiter. User research and usability testing. This is the foundation of UX. It tells the employer that Jane validates decisions with real users instead of guessing. If you consider wireframing and prototyping, this is a standard must-have for all UI UX designers. And then if you consider the third one, which is visual and interaction design, it covers both the UI side, how it looks, and then the UX side, how it behaves. So putting this together just signals that this person is a full stack designer. If you just look at information architecture, this is the structural thinking behind UX. It's going to signal to the recruiter that Jane has depth beyond aesthetics. And then look at the tools role. Figma here that we see, it's the industry standard right now. It's non-negotiable. For Maze, Hotjar, Full Story, these ones, they are research and analytics tools. If you are tailoring your resume for a UI UX role, there are keywords that you must have in your resume. There are ATS must-haves. And then you would have mid-level differentiators as well if you have some experience. And then your resume should also speak to these tools that I show here as well, exactly the way they are. Ensure that you are highlighting that you have the capability to use these tools. Let's move on to Jane's experience. The professional experience, that's the most important part of any resume, and specifically the most recent role. Many resumes in North America, they are limited to 2 pages. So even if you've had 5 years of experience, limited to 2 pages. If you've had 20 years of experience and you are applying for an FT role, limited to 2 pages as well. So your current role is where hiring managers spend the most time and where most resumes either win or lose the opportunity to be interviewed. The one mistake that I see on mid-career resume is that it reads like a job description where people are using words like responsible for, assisted in, participated in. All of those activities, they don't signal any form of ownership. They don't discuss achievements. Let's look into Jen's resume to see how Jen has discussed her achievements. Now look at this. On the full design lifecycle for Luma's client dashboard redesign, conducting competitive analysis, running 18 user interviews, synthesizing findings into actionable insights, and delivering a revised information architecture, high fidelity prototypes, and a component library that reduced onboarding time by 34% and increased feature adoption by 22% within 90 days of launch. Let me break that bullet into 3 parts because this structure is a template I want you to steal. For the first part, it talks about action and ownership. Owned the full design lifecycle, not worked on, not helped with, owned. The word positions Jen as the accountable person, not the contributor. The second thing is the method. Competitive analysis talks about 18 user interviews, revised information architecture, high fidelity prototypes. So this is the how. It shows a rigorous process and it gives the interviewer something concrete to ask about. Now let's talk about the result. Reduced onboarding time by 34%, increased feature adoption by 22%, within 90 days. This is why Jen's work matters to the business. Without part 3, this bullet point is just a task list at best. But with this third part that discusses the results, it's a business case for hiring Jen. Let's look at another one. This one says built and maintained Luma's first company-wide design system in Figma, documenting over 80 reusable components, establishing design tokens for color, typography, and spacing, and creating contribution guidelines for the wider product team. Reduced design to development handoff by 40% and eliminated visual inconsistencies by 6 products. That 40% reduction in handoff, it's a business outcome. Other designers would describe it as a design task, but listing it this way discusses it as a business outcome. Building a design system sounds like a craft, but reducing handoff time by 40%, it sounds like operational efficiency. It's the same work, just a reframe. That reframe lands you the interview. Okay, let's look at Jane's earlier role where she was a junior UI UX designer. And I want you to notice something immediately. The language is slightly different here. Look at this bullet point. Assisted the senior designer in recruiting, scheduling, and note-taking. Assisted, not led. Assisted, not weak. It positions Jane as honest, as genuine. It doesn't position Jane as weak. And the story tells a story of growth. It gives more credibility to where she uses the word owned in her more recent role. If you have a resume that sounds the same from role to role, it raises a question for the hiring manager to ask if this person has even grown at all. Has there been any growth that has been experienced? Has there been any accomplishment? Or is this person just repeating things across roles, across different organizations? But look at this one. Even as a UI UX designer, Jane still connects work to a business outcome where she says reduced cart abandonment by 18% and increased checkout completion by 14%. Even in a supporting role, Jane is thinking of business terms. This habit does not start year 5 of your career. It needs to start from day 1. And then if you notice the research keywords as well, or the research method keywords, for example, card sorting, treat testing, these are specific UX research techniques. And they signal to the hiring manager that Jane's research capability is methodical. They are not just conversational. Again, I don't want you to get lost if you are not a UI UX person, right? But it's just better to use a resume to explain this so that it's more practical and more understandable instead of just speaking theory to the camera. If you would need help with your resume, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to support you. So like I said, there should be an arc between where you were and where you are right now. That arc tells a compelling story. Be honest about it. Only with joy. It tells the story of your growth and you should be proud of it. Okay, I want to give you something you can screenshot right now. If you are a UI UX designer or you work in a product or design or digital role, these are the categories of keywords that should be on your resume. And for everyone else that is watching, I want you to do this exercise for your own field. Pull up 3 job descriptions for the role that you want. Write down every skill, every tool, and maybe the methodology that they keep repeating in those 3 job descriptions. That list is your keyword bank. And then the last one, this is the one that applies to every role in the industry. Look at what is not on Jen's resume. Passionate, team player, creative. They can be on anybody's resume. In fact, they're on everybody's resume. And there's really nothing wrong with them. But the truth is, they're not verifiable. And then they don't set you apart from the others. If you look at what we've reviewed on Jane's resume, we've reviewed outcomes, we've reviewed the method, we've reviewed the numbers. That tells a compelling story. It makes the hiring manager want to have a discussion. So as much as possible, that's how you should aspire for your resume to be, to discuss outcomes and share numbers, talk about methods that you've adopted, tools that you've used. That should be the standard that you should be targeting. I know I've said this before. I just want to say, please edit your resume for relevance. I know that you have a lot of experience. Maybe you have up to 10, 15, 20 years experience. Not everything needs to be on your resume. You don't have any business writing up to 4 bullet points for a role that you did back in 2008 or even 2016. That was 10 years ago. First of all, the biggest portion of your resume should be related to what you are doing right now. The achievements or the outcomes that you highlight from your previous roles should be achievements or outcomes that are relevant to the role that you're applying for today. If it's not relevant, please skip it. Now we are getting into my favorite part, which is the AI prompts that I want to share with you that you can use every time you want to apply to a new role. Nobody has the energy, at least not me, to be tailoring a resume from scratch every time I come across a new role. Once you have one strong resume, you can then begin to use these prompts to tailor that one strong resume to each job that you're applying for. Now, what you're going to say next is going to be those AI prompts. You can screenshot them, you can save them, they are yours to keep, okay? Thank me later. The first one is the gap analysis one, and you can just put it, you can prompt the AI by saying, I'm going to give you my current resume and a job description. Please, when you are putting your resume into the LLM, which is the AI, remember to remove your PII, your personal identification information, anything related to your name, your email address, your phone number. Please remove it before you put your resume in. Now, I'm going to give you my current resume and a job description. Compare them and tell me which skills or keywords in the job description are missing or weakly represented in my resume. Number 2, which of my existing bullet points are most relevant to the role and should be emphasized? What specific language from the job description should I incorporate? Please be direct and specific. Now you want to paste your job description and then paste your resume here as well. So that's one. The second prompt that I want to share with you is the bullet points rewriter. Now you want to use this one to upgrade the weak bullets into achievement statements. What you're just going to say to the AI is, here are 5 bullet points from my resume. We write each one of them to follow the formula of a strong action verb plus a specific task or scope plus measurable outcome or impact. Keep the language professional, keep it concise and rewritten for a mid-career professional, targeting whatever role you're targeting, e.g. UI UX designer or a senior program manager, whatever it is, and then paste your bullet points there. The third one that I'd like to share with you is the professional summary generator. You can use this one to write or sharpen your career profile for a specific role. The prompt that you are going to use is, using my resume and the job description below, write a professional summary for me that is 3 to 4 sentences long. It should 1, establish my years of experience and my area of expertise. Number 2, it should highlight 2 to 3 strengths or achievements that are most relevant to this specific role. Number 3, you want to use language that mirrors the tone and keywords of the job description. The LLM should write your career profile in first person and make it confident. We don't want it to sound generic. So paste your resume there, paste your job description, let the AI do its thing. The fourth prompt is the full resume tailoring. You want to use this when you are ready to do a full tailored version for a specific application. I want to tailor my resume to the job description below. Please identify the top 8 skills and competencies the employer is looking for. Show which parts of my resume to update or rewrite to match those priorities. Suggest any new bullet points I should add based on my experience that I may have left out. And then flag anything on my current resume that is irrelevant to this role and can be removed. Do this in a structured, easy to follow format. Now paste your resume and paste the job description and let the AI do its thing. One more thing, right? AI is the starting point. It's not the finishing point. I always say audit whatever has been given to you. You want to check everything for correctness, for conciseness. You want to fact check it against your actual experience. You want to ensure that it sounds like you. Any words that you know that you actually don't use in real life, remove it from that resume. Or adopt the use of that word before your interview. You don't want to show up for an interview when you can't speak to the resume. Let's wrap this up. We walked through Jen's resume. In the career summary or career profile, we said it should answer 3 questions: who you are, what you bring, and why it matters. If your career profile or your career summary is not answering that question today, you want to go and address that immediately. We looked at the core competencies or the skills as well. That's where the ATS focuses on. You want to ensure that that portion is optimized using keywords that match exactly what's in the job description. We also talked about the experience section as well. This is where your value is explained. This is where the impact that you've driven or the outcome that you've driven should shine. This is what should show your achievements and what should sell you to the hiring manager as a potential employee for this role. This portion should ideally land you the interview. And remember what I said. In discussing your outcomes, let's use the action method and result method. So your action plus the method should be equal to your result. You want to show numbers, you want to show methods, you want to show tools in that section. Again, your current roles should show growth compared to your earlier roles, except of course, maybe like I said, you have 20 years of experience and maybe your last role was just 2 years ago. If you've grown from early levels in your career to mid levels in your career, then you want to show that arc that talks about growth as well, and the language that you use matters. Now, I want to say that Jane is a fictional person, but the principles that we've discussed around Jane's resume, they apply in any industry or every industry, in every role. It's universal, it's industry and role agnostic. So this is your homework, right? Open your resume, consider everything we've talked about today and pick one section, just one section so that you don't get overwhelmed. Make one change today. If you don't open your resume today to make at least one change, best to believe you won't utilize anything that you learned in this video. So change one thing today, the rest you can continue tomorrow or any other day, but pick one thing that you're going to change today. And if this video has helped you, share it. Engage by liking, commenting. Share it with anyone in your circle that you know that is job hunting. The truth is, what we've discussed here today, many people don't know it. And so anyone that knows it to a large extent has an advantage. If you require any form of help for your resume, feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to help you do an audit and get you to a great place. If you feel like you've watched this video and you still need some form of help, please reach out to me. And in the next video for our Secure the Bag series, we will be talking about interviews. You want to stay tuned until then. I have a lot to share with you. Thank you for joining us here today. Until next time, it's your girl, Coinsala. Bye.